Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Eric from the Death Zone. This is some new content I'm making. It was a 40-minute interview over the phone. Um, so it's a little bit of a raw interview in terms of the question and the banter. And like I said, I don't make this content usually, but I have Joey Rico on Facebook. He's still making guitars and trying to keep up the legacy, and he is going to make a limited run for anyone who's interested. But anyhow, this is a 40-minute interview roughly, and I'm just asking him questions about his early life and then the company, and just my appreciation for the Ironbird and how he's contributed to that, because he's the one that invented the shape. We go a little bit into that, and also the current climate and how BC Rich is today, which is owned by someone else, and obviously the other, I wouldn't say competitors, but just the other people in the market out there making these shapes. And it's a great insight. He tells the story how it is, and it's just awesome. I tried to keep it as linear as possible, and ask the right questions. But I hope you guys enjoy it. It's like I said, this is just the appreciation of the Ironbird and the Mark 1, Mark 2, and how it is, and what his opinions are. And reach out to him if you're interested in getting a guitar made. We talk numbers and stuff like that. So enjoy it. Thanks. All right, bye.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Joey? This is Eric. I just messaged you a couple hours ago yesterday.
Okay.
So yeah, man, that's cool. I'm surprised. Has anyone else ever kind of like messaged you regarding the whole Ironbird legacy and all that? Well, just the company, I know, obviously, but.
It's been, yeah, definitely. I've gotten a lot of messages. I mean, a lot of people are definitely into the shape. As people find out that I was the one to design it, I usually get like some type of a message or something like that. It's kind of cool to hear from people that are excited about it. I really appreciate that, you reaching out like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, man, and if you didn't mind, just a phone call. It's cool. I mean, it's just, I don't think anyone's ever documented it like properly, I guess, with nowadays on content and stuff. But
sure.
Long story short, do you have any stories or memories of the company growing up and just taking on that challenge to design a futuristic kind of shape?
Absolutely. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we might be able to just get together in person if you want, and just kind of sit down and get as much information out to you as possible. I mean, sitting here right now off the top of my head, of course, I have a few things I can say, but I mean, if you wanted to get together in person, we could do that. That's
cool. I mean, I'm not like a big shot YouTuber or anything like that. I'm just purely someone who enjoys these shapes in particular, even though when I was younger, I was like, this is like too much for me right now because I was learning. I was like a little kid. But yeah, man, I mean, I was just cut and dry, but I just don't have the resources and stuff to make something like that unless someone already has or will, that has equipment and a big YouTube channel or something.
Right. So are you interested in getting a guitar built for yourself?
It's funny. I've been curious on how it's been now, because I know Neil Moser makes them now, and then there was something here going, and now they have the legacy stuff that's all made in Korea. I don't even know what the current situation is with all these different creators, I guess, or businesses.
Right.
I know you do it. Do you because it's funny, I bought my first real one that I bought was just a body from this guy named Ron Estrada, up north, because I'm from San Diego, but I don't know how it is right now. Do you build them yourself?
Oh yeah, I've known Ron since he started. I mean, obviously he worked at these years that my dad owned, so
Yeah.
I've known Ron since his starting days in the bolt-on division. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to like. I mean, so you do this as by yourself, like as a one man operation, or do you kind of like do it like on the like occasionally or whenever you get orders?
No, I do it every day. I have 2 guys that work with me, so there's only 3 of us, and we're basically just focusing on trying to do limited edition runs. Even though I always have a handful of custom one-off guitars that we're building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very, very small right now. We're in the middle of negotiating a deal that'll hopefully change all that. We're just taking it small so we don't have too much overhead while we're getting everything launched properly and getting everything, all our ducks in a row, so to speak.
Understood. Yeah, because I did try. I talked to Neil Moser or the company to make an Ironbird, but I just I just couldn't shell out. I'm like 28 years old, dude. I couldn't shell out like $7,000 right then and there. But I know that's probably a fitting price just for where it's made and how it's made. So it's just one of those things eventually. But and also I really want.
Well, I will kill that price for you, just so you know. Nowhere near that. So
Okay.
I'm serious. Definitely, you came to the right guy.
Right on. So what do you offer? Because I know there's subtle differences with the Ironbird, and that's aside from being a fan and also just how it works. Like the Mark 1 is the one you designed, because I know my favorite is that in the USA, like Mark 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, the design was mine, and we added that end point that you're talking about, the end to the tip where it bends down. That was something that was added way, way later.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know that the little differences are. It's like, the Mark 1 is just it's awesome, and it's funny that I've noticed throughout the years, even the model, the Korean models, they've gotten smaller, and they're not as it doesn't give the justice it deserves.
I agree.
Do you know, like, did Rick Ross, the guy from Death, ask you to make that Ironbird? That's like my favorite one by far.
Actually, no, I didn't do that one, and I don't know how they went through the custom shop or who did what for who. I was out of it with them for a while. When my dad came back into the thing in the end of his life in the late, early 90s, and then they ran it all the way till the end of the 90s when he passed.
Right.
I was building for my brother because my brother needed someone to build guitars, so I was building for him, and
right on.
through those guitars that I was building for those guys, because at first I was just a designer setup guy at BC Rich. That's what I did. I set up guitars, and then I designed them, and then I became artist relations, and then the company sold, and then I went my own way. But in '99, I inherited a full manufacturing plant full of equipment, so
right on.
I started building.
So, you obviously have seen it. So when, like, what year did you start? Like, and start getting into the company. I mean, I know you've grown up in it, but like, how was that process?
I started working at BC Rich when I was probably 16, something like that. 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like I said, I came in to do
Just a setup.
setups on NJs. I was a setup guy for NJs, and I did shipping and receiving, and I worked my way up to being artist relations, and then the company sold, and that's pretty much the extent of what I did when in the golden era. I wasn't even a luthier then. I was just a designer, player, artist relations, and then when I got the equipment in '99 from my dad, I have not stopped building since. So
Yeah.
as far as the luthier side, I was officially not full-fledged luthier probably until 2001, 2001, where I pretty much had done the gamut.
Right on. So with I know the golden era and all that. It's great. I haven't come across any mid like 1985 like Ironbirds or models and stuff. What's your opinion on when it went to Class X, dude? Like those platinum models, I have a few of them, but I know they're kind of selling for outrageous prices because they're a budget model, and it's still a BC Rich. But what's your opinion on that era?
I had some really nice ones, and I don't know if they just gave me the best of the best because they wanted me to stay with the company when they were running it, but they gave me a couple of really nice pieces, and I felt like the stuff that I got was really, really good. Really, really, really good. So.
And this was like an NJ, or was it like a American made during the Class X era?
I got the American made stuff from them when they first came in. They wanted me as an artist as well. I was doing a lot of playing at that time.
Sure.
And they gave me some really nice pieces. I mean, I'm not going to complain about any of that. As far as the import stuff goes, that's always been pretty consistent, and they've always been pretty good. I never agreed with going to Japan or China on anything. So anything made in Japan and Korea or Indonesia has always been my preference for imports. I don't care for too much of what the Chinese stuff is come back from as far as what they did. You know?
Right. So whatchamacallit, So when the company moved, I kind of went on a tangent here, or I kind of forgot, but the ones that are made in India, what's your opinion on that right now? Like, is that through you guys, or is that like something else that you have no control over? Like,
what's that?
Because I've been noticing that there's a factory in India that they're making like the Stranger Things ones, and they're making Ironbirds now, like Crackle and Green. And I don't know if you've seen them on Sweetwater. They're going for like $1,200, but they're on back order. I think they're just trying to get like fulfillment orders to see how much they need to make. I feel like they're too scared to make like a factory assembly line of just a set number. I feel like that BC Rich company right now that's doing the whole Legacy series, is that something you're a part of?
Not at all.
Wow. Yeah, and I felt like I personally wouldn't buy those models, not because it's like just it has BC Rich on it, but I feel like it's not this company is kind of being it's a weird kind of situation where it's like that company is kind of just doing whatever they want, and I don't know. They kind of turned everything towards a modern direction, but what's your opinion on all that for that company that owns it?
I don't really give them too much thought. They wanted to do some stuff with me in the beginning, and we got a little bit lost in the chase of trying to figure something out. And in that time, I already knew I was reinventing the wheel for what I was going to do on my end. So
right.
it really didn't matter. But as far as I can tell from what people are telling me, most people are really not happy with the current ownership, and a lot of the people that I brought to the company, like bigger stars and stuff, they won't have anything to do with the company,
right?
Unless there's a Rico involved, and obviously I'm Rico guitarist, so I don't need to be a part of BC Rich at this point, at least,
right?
Because of the business dealings that we did in the past, I haven't really dealt with them at all since things kind of went a little awry with us. I mean, I'm not going to say any negative things about them, but they definitely said some things that didn't really follow through with what we thought was going to happen. So I don't really give them too much consideration, only because the people that I know that have dealt with them, they're just not willing to deal with them at all.
Right. Yeah, and I guess they're trying to make an effort, and that's why I think it's a good time, even obviously for the real deal, like you guys, to start pushing to make more guitars. I feel like the whole, not only the Ironbird, but like, I feel like it's making a comeback because a lot of people want to play extreme music these days again, and I feel like it's just gained popularity in the last, probably since after COVID or something.
I've noticed that the sales have definitely picked up, and they're paying attention to the Ironbird more than they ever have, and that's just due to straight requests from people, players like yourself, who are adamantly explaining to them that that's their favorite design. So
right.
They're definitely, from what I've heard, it's been steady on sales the entire time.
Yeah, that's cool.
When they've had them available.
So in terms of that, what was the first reaction when you released the design? How was the whole concept? From the first step, what was your inspiration? Because from when I think of that name Ironbird, it's obviously something very 80s, obviously, and like a fighter jet or something like that, something of that nature. What was your inspiration?
Yeah, I was 14 coming into the trade show with my dad in 1983.
Yeah.
We're walking through the trade show to our booth, and I'm seeing all these people ripping off my dad's designs. all these people are making knockoff these here shapes, and I looked at him. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe this. And he's like, I know. He's like, there's not a lot we can do. We're doing this, we're doing that, but it is what it is. And by the time we got to the booth, and I had a minute with him, I was like, I really want to design something futuristic and something, that makes us stand out, because I feel like everything we have is now being knocked off,
Yeah.
And he just challenged me to that. He's like, well, go ahead and design a headstock, a guitar, and then when you're done, try to come up with a name. So, I sat there pretty much for the day, designing and throwing away paper all day long, wadding up paper after paper after paper. And once, I'd say probably, I don't know how much amount of time it took, but within a certain amount of time, I had a couple that were really close. And I was like, that looks pretty radical. It looks pretty modern, pretty tough. And like you said, fighter jet is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking it's just like super, super modern, like something that could fly, something that's just super cool. And I showed my dad with this draft that I finally liked, and he was just like, I can't believe this. This is really, really, really cool. He's like, when we get back to the shop after the trade show, I'm gonna have one of these drafted up and make one. And I was like, okay, well, cool. I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just kind of like being proud of his kid, just giving him a shot.
Sure.
That would be the end of it. But when we went back, about 2 weeks later after the trade show, he called me into his office. He's all, take a look at this, and he had a big draft board up there with it all drawn out at full size, because my original drawing was a totally small drawing compared to theirs. It was designed on an 8.5 piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. So
right.
You can imagine it wasn't the full size. So seeing it full size on the drafting table, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen, And he asked me the same thing. He's like, well, what was the name that you came up with this thing? And I go, well, I've always loved the eagle, and I've always loved, the mockingbird. I'm like, I want to be affiliated with that side of things at Beastie Rich.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Ironbird, and he was just immediately, his eyes got really big, and he was like, that's it. I'm like, that's it. Like I'm done? Like, no, that's it. That's going to be the name. And it just stuck. So the crazy part is I designed that whole entire guitar, the headstock, the body, everything, and came up with the name.
Hell yeah. So are you telling me the standard headstock, is it? Because I know they've changed, custom guys have used the round headstock, the Fender looking one. Like, what was that? Was that the pointy one that looks? It's just the pointy one that it is today.
They call it a harpoon.
The harpoon.
It doesn't angle down, and it doesn't angle up. It angles going forward, straight forward.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, because hell yeah, that's awesome, man.
And then from there, my dad designed the 6-in-line angled headstock, which at first was really, really angled, like severe angled, and then because of the tension on the nut with the severe angle, they slowly backed off the angle until they found the happy sweet spot. But that original first one that you'll see, they call it the harpoon headstock. That's the headstock that I designed with that guitar at that time.
Fantastic. Yeah, man. I don't know if you ever you have a picture of that, or the final model of that, but that'd be great if you can upload it on your profile or something, so you can check it out. But
yeah, I'll do that for sure. I'll find some pictures and at least get some pictures up of it, and so people can see what the original idea was.
Sweet. So that, because I follow this page on Instagram, it's called Ironbird Legion, and they glorify that model, and for good reason. They uploaded a picture of you. I think it was you with a white Ironbird with red lightning. Is that the first one that was made?
Believe it or not, that was before Dimebag ever had a guitar with that same graphic on it. And I was talking to him at that time, which is really crazy. Right.
Because I was like, oh, this is it. But I was assuming that was the first one that was made, or one of them.
That was one of the first custom ones I had made. The very first one I had made is the one that's in the Kiss Tears Are Falling video. Paul Stanley's playing it. That was my very first one, and he went through the whole entire guitar shop looking for a new guitar. And mine was hiding in the back corner behind shit. I literally had it hidden because I knew he was there to pick a guitar.
You're talking about that red one?
Yeah, sure.
Shit.
He gets around the corner and sees that one, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's the coolest guitar I've ever seen. I gotta have that." And my dad looked at me like, "Son, I have to do this. This is a big." I mean, I was literally pissed off for probably the better part of 6 months. I was pretty livid because I thought I was going to be the one to debut with the new guitar, with the new idea.
Sure, yeah, dude. Yeah.
I was supposed to be the first person that people saw playing that guitar because I was going pretty hard with music back then. I already had a major record label already pretty much picking me up and all kinds of stuff. So it was really a weird time for me. I was happy that Paul Stanley picked my guitar out of every guitar in that fucking guitar shop, but at the same time I was like, what a son of a bitch to have to be the one to play the guitar that Paul Stanley plays, like from that point forward they're like, oh, that's that guitar that Kiss plays, huh? And it's like, wow, really?
That's nuts. It's transparent red, right?
It is.
That's the very first after you drafting everything.
That's after they tweaked with the headstocks and made a few. And
oh, okay.
It took me time to get my guitar the way I wanted it. Like exactly the way I wanted it, beading quilted top, really nice. With the beveled edges and all that. The very first one I had was a Kaler. It was almost flat top, pretty much. And that one, my friend still plays that to this day. Someone in my circle actually owns that guitar. So that was the very first one. Was Fire Engine red, solid red with the harpoon headstock. The one that I really, really loved that I was going to make for myself, like the one that my dream guitar, was the one that Paul got. That was like my dream guitar.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, so what's your opinion on, I know scale length, because like they varied. I know the ones in the late 80s. Was it always in your mind 24 and 0.75 or like Fender 25.5 for Ironbirds? What do you think?
I was always in the 24 and 3/4 range myself with them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We made that white one's 25 and a half, and the one before that was 24 and 3/4, and I always felt way more comfortable in the 24 and 3/4 than I did on the 25 and a half. But I think that's personal preference, It's like, what do you play now? It's going to be applicable to what you play later as far as what it feels like.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that white one was the 20. I thought it was going to be better at 25 and a half, and it definitely didn't feel better.
And it's funny, I recently made a video on YouTube to cure like neck dive on those on Ironbirds. Like, did that, like, in terms of design, of course it's a fucking sexy model, beautiful, but did like a lot of people have shit to say about like, oh, it's like hard to play live, especially if you use like a heavier wood? Like, would people complain?
Well, there's a way to move the strap buttons to where it won't dive at all, but you just gotta know your stuff,
Right.
On the bolt-ons, if you take off the bottom left screw into the plate and you put a longer screw with your strap button through that, it'll literally sit without diving at all.
Nice, yeah. But at first,
I've given that on Facebook before, and I've seen people sharing my information on that. But I've told them from the very beginning, literally from the very beginning, like, this is where the strap buttons have to go to make this guitar play the way that my guitar plays. Like, in order for it to not neck dive, you have to do this. And for some reason, they always seem to put them where they want. And with that being said, it's probably not the best placement for the strap buttons. I can't tell you how many people have thanked me for giving them that advice.
Yeah.
I love it now.
So for like neck throughs, would you recommend putting it like, obviously not to where the truss rod is, but a little down, like in the middle of like, it's hard to explain, but in the middle of the body, but like towards the neck, would like where you're kind of talking about on a bolt-on, but like going centered for a neck through.
Instead of being on the top half of the neck where it meets the body, it should be at the bottom half of the neck. And what that does is it forces the guitar to stay at a perfect 45.
Right. Okay.
And that's really the only difference, really. And they keep moving it up on the top horn at the very front of the horn, and that gives it neck dive from the placement.
Exactly. Yeah. But
I mean, I don't understand why they do it over and over and over, but it is what it is. I can't tell you how many people have thanked me for giving them that advice, because they're like, I love the guitar, but I don't like the neck dive. Well, it doesn't take much to fix that.
Exactly, and I feel like a lot of people like deterred them from playing, like, especially the basses and all that. But But yeah, man. So in your opinion, with all that being said, like what would be a true Ironbird to you? Obviously 24.75 scale. What would you feel like is like the best? Because a lot of people are scared that it'll break. I know the old school combo was alder and a maple neck. What's the best configuration for like wood on an Ironbird, do you think?
I like maple center mahogany wings myself. A lot of people that I know prefer the maple with the alder. I mean, I'm saying a lot. I mean, a lot. You know, because mahogany's more dense. It has more weight to it.
Yeah.
So you're putting some more weight onto the guitar. So a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like that design for the fact that not only does it look cool, but with alder and maple center, it's really a pretty comfortable weight, to hold all night long. So I think that's another big deal is people want that light comfort. But myself, personally, I've always liked the maple center and the mahogany wings.
Sweet, yeah, that's good. I agree. That's like the same. Like I would use. But do you like Kahlers or Floyd's more, man? On the bridges.
I'm more of a Floyd guy.
Yeah, right on.
I mean, I like Kahlers and I've used them and I could play them both pretty much the same, but it's kind of like I like the reaction to the things that I do on the Floyd better. But if you really want to be technical on the actual unit, I think that the Kahlers are made better.
Yeah.
As far as quality goes of the actual bridge, I think the Kahlers are better made bridge. But as far as like the tricks that I do with it and the reason why I use it and how I use it, it's always been Floyd for me. And it's probably because I switched to Floyd about 4 or 5 years into playing, 6 years into playing serious, and when you kind of stick with what you're used to, And like I said, I have no problems with Kahlers at all. I think they're great bridges. I really do.
Cool, yeah. I have yet to try one. The Slayer guys, Kerry King swears by them and all that. But all I heard is they're buttery. But yeah, for me, it's my favorite band that used BC Rich was Death. Is Death, and I'm the whole reverse headstock Ironbird kind of guy with the Floyd. But so for your US custom models, when people would go to the custom shop, would you guys just put DiMarzios automatically, or their preference, obviously?
Well, that was the main pickup for our American division for since the 70s all the way through, pretty much. So,
was it the Super Distortion?
Yeah, Super Distortion in the rear and PAF in the front. Okay,
cool. Yeah, because I'll probably send you it, but I made one myself, a Mark II Ironbird that Rick Ross used. It has cloud inlays, from the, I don't know if a Mockingbird would have been standard on that with the cloud inlays, but I don't know if you ever seen that particular model. It's a transparent red with a red stripe in the middle, and it's a Mark II. That's the model that really got me into it.
What about it? What was the question?
Oh, I don't know if you remember that one that Rick Ross had.
Yeah.
That's the model that really got me into it. So I made one myself. I'll probably send you a pic of it, but my goal is to have one made probably obviously by you and to that specification eventually.
Sure. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I'll send you that stuff. So how did that transfer from the Mark I and the Mark II? What did someone just want to interject and make a Mark II out of nowhere, or was it a demand?
Well, you know that Junior V and all those other guitars that we're making back in the day had that little bend at the tip, right?
That's what I noticed. Yeah, the Randy Rhodes, just that upper part.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the V's had that on the V's, that kind of came to everyone's attention. Well, that would look kind of cool to add that to the Ironbird, since the top bout of the Ironbird has that same pointed edge. It'd be so easy to add just a little tweak to the end of it, and without any argument, it was just considered to be done, and nobody really complained too much about it. I have had many people, probably 20 people so far since then, maybe 30 people, that were really adamant that they liked the original design more so than the changed little bend tip at the end, you're referring to the Mark, the other versions.
Right.
Personally, I think they're both really cool. I don't really think it makes too much of a difference as far as cosmetically to myself.
Right.
But I know the original OG people, they're not interested in all that,
And it's nuts though, because I agree, especially from that era, the golden era, they both, and this is just splitting hairs and just being very observant, but they that was the only difference. But it's weird how the shapes over probably after the Class X era, it all went downhill in terms of that the shape design. Like I feel like they got like smaller.
They did. No, I complained to them pretty much. They actually went back to changing the design partially because of the amount of shit they got from me. Because I told them the whole time, I'm like, you guys literally ruined a great guitar. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the Warlocks look like a joke. I mean, they're so far off that it's laughable that you're even putting that name Warlock to the shape you're doing. But the Ironbird looks hideous. Like, hideous. Like, I don't even know what happened. And they're like, well, you have all the original templates. Like, give us the templates. I'm like, no.
Exactly, yeah. Hell no. So what happened with that? So when you changed, so like, for example, the first Ironbird I ever bought when I got into it was like a 2009 like Ironbird 1. And I know they made that series with a 1 mark, the Warlock 1 series. Like, dude, I picked it up because I'm like 6'2" and I'm like 250 and I'm like, fuck, this is fucking comically small, dude. And I was like,
yeah, right.
And I was just very disappointed. And I mean, I know everything's basswood and in Chinese models and what have you, and just basic stuff. But the real Ironbird I ever got, like a real one, was a platinum, and it was like probably an '89. And I was like, dude, this shit looks way more fucking badass, and it's bigger. And I wish I had like a mid '85 one, but it's just nuts how they got. I called it they got anorexic, especially the Mark IIs.
Yeah.
They got anorexic, dude.
Clearly, they didn't have any of the designs or any of the templates because they just tried to copy it by drafting it on top of a drafting table by sketching over the top. And clearly, they did a bad job of doing that. Because when I saw them, I was like, you guys should not even be calling this the same guitar. It looks terrible. They had to hear me talking that smack for a long, long time before they actually went and made changes. I don't know where the designs are at right now because I don't really pay attention to them anymore. I haven't for a while because we had a little bit of a falling out, and I got so much on my plate that I don't really have time to really focus on what they're doing.
Right.
I do see through the grapevine. I hear things and I see things, and they definitely made the changes. If you ask me, the Warlock is still wrong. And the Ironbird, I have not compared it to a real one yet. I haven't compared it to one that I made, so I'm not really sure. I do know that I'm gonna offer the Ironbird and probably the Eagle sometime this year.
Fantastic.
In limited runs. And obviously, I do my headstock. I don't do their headstocks or anything like that to avoid any type of issues with them.
Dude, yeah, and even the headstocks they fucked up, man. They're smaller. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird, man. And, this is just me. I'm not here to rant about a company or whose company is worse or whatever, but it's just, that's why I told you since the beginning of the conversation, like, I just wouldn't want to spend $1,800 on something that's not even true to the name,
Right.
So it's just kind of, it's a money grab I can see, and I've seen these ones that are up for sale now where they're trying to make these Ironbirds, and dude, they're not even as pointy. They're not even as sharp. These Mark Ones that I see, they're pretty dull, and I'm like, yeah, it's just totally not what we're trying to what's adhering to the original. But anyhow,
yeah, that's what I felt. That's what I felt too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, these are just very they're not even pointy. Like that's like the feature of that guitar, man. So yeah, dude. Yeah. But other than that, so that for the first Ironbird ever made, it's a white one. That's the first one ever conceived.
Oh no! That white one is later on because it's got the angled headstock on it. Yeah, the first one that I got had the harpoon headstock on it.
And it was red, fire engine red. He said.
Yeah, solid red. Yeah, it didn't have no transparent paint. Solid red.
Yeah, man, that's what I would have picked too, man, as the first color. I think the white, red, and black is the most intimidating. There's actually one up for sale right now that has roses and barbed wire. I don't know if you saw that one, but
no,
it's probably a custom one. But I have, like I said, I have a NJ Warlock from the mid '80s, but the platinum Ironbirds, do you think that one's a pretty close shape, or is it still not right? even back then.
I never was happy with the imported designs on the Ironbird. I mean, as far as it being exact, it was never exact.
Right.
There's been close calls like you're talking about now. The one you're talking about in particular, the top short horn, the smallest of the top horn, the one that that one was always the biggest problem with the imports.
Oh, okay. And I know they made like the Platinum series where like it's like laminated like fucking wood. It's pretty much plywood in your opinion?
You know, I've never sanded them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm blessed enough to have played pretty much American guitars my whole life.
Yeah.
So I'm not really familiar, other than the ones that I worked on and set up, and other people have brought to me to fix and change things. And so I'm not really sure. I know that in the market that we're in right now, it's got to be a solid body. If it's a multi-lam, particle board, that's not going to fly. So it would not shock me that they didn't do that with some of them because they were so cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean the parts, the wood, the construction, the design. It was just cheap. I would not doubt it that they didn't cut corners with those. But with the higher end stuff, I'm pretty sure. I mean, like right now, I'm pretty sure all of it's with hardwoods and multi-lams and stuff like that. They're doing them to try to make them a little bit better, like as far as the quality of the build.
Right on. So yeah, dude. What'll go into like if I want to get one of those like made, dude? Like probably get a Mark 1, but like what are the details going into that? Do you guys have offer wood, or is it like there's some sort of like thing I fill out online to get one made?
Yeah, you can call me directly and we can do what we're doing right now and go to an order form. We haven't uploaded the order forms online yet. They will be there probably within the next few weeks for people to take and fill out for orders. I would prefer you call me directly and we go over every spec as I fill it out on the order form. And then I would take half down and half on completion. And if you wanted like a discount off the whole entire price, I offer that for people that pay up front. And obviously, there's a timeline in there. For someone like right now, to place an order, you're looking at about 90 days. I know BCH takes about almost a year and a half to get a guitar, 2 years to someone. So, 3 months is pretty incredibly quick.
Of course, yeah.
And that's only right now because we're getting ready to launch sales, and once the sales hit and the numbers go up, then we got to push the dates out for orders past that. So as of right now, I'm capable of putting out a guitar within 3 months. So that's what I do. If you wanted a cheaper version of that guitar, I can make you a bolt-on version of that guitar. If you wanted a super killer high-end version of that guitar, we could do that. You're mentioning the model that you like. We can make it exactly to those specs. It's pretty much, with me, it's what you want is what you get kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll send you some pics over because I think it was made. It's a USA. It has a serial number on the back on that little beveled in the back of the headstock. Yeah. But because there was a listing on Reverb for it. But I'd like to get one in that spec. But would you guys be able to do it without putting any parts on it? Just the body finished with the paint and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah, I would work you a crazy deal for just a body, a painted blank, or even a wood blank, depending on whether you want to finish it yourself or not. But if you wanted it finished and painted, and then you just assemble it and put the parts on, that's not a problem. We can work that out.
Cool, man. Yeah, how much would that probably run me? Because I gotta obviously save up or make some financial decisions.
Yeah, well, normally a guitar like that runs right around $5,000, custom order for inlays, side dots, all the hardware that you want, and the pickups you want, all that. But if you're talking about putting all the parts on and everything yourself, I could do something like that for, I believe it'll be right around 32, something like that. Right
on. Okay. Yeah, man, that'll probably be worth it because that'll be like my first USA. So,
Yeah, no, I would be honored, man. That would be awesome. It would make a great story to tell the whole deal about, online about your like for the instrument and your history with it and having a handmade made. That would be really cool to be able to post that for people to read.
Right on, dude. Yeah, man. So I'm just gonna make like a pretty much shortened version of this conversation on YouTube. It was cool like to share what we discussed about and all that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Right on, Joey. Well, thank you for your time, dude. I got a show later I'm playing today. Yes, and I had practice earlier, so I squeezed this in. So, I just thank you again so much for giving me the time and making the coolest fucking shape ever, dude.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, brother. My pleasure talking to you. Send me a tag to whatever you post so that way I can come take a look at it.
Right on. Okay, man. Take it easy, dude. Looking forward to seeing the old school pictures, out of the archives.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate it, and we'll get some stuff up there shortly, and we'll talk more when you're ready, huh?
Perfect. All right, Joey, dude. Take it easy. Have a great New Year, man. Stay safe.
You too.
All right. Take it easy. Bye bye.